in connection with the aims, objects, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization covering its inception, rise, and progress of the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The object of our organization is to help in a great program of uplifting fallen humanity and to teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. Our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine and national movement. Then you'll have the power to redeem your race because you'll know who you are and who your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. The Moorish Science Temple of America is therefore appealing to all loyal, faithful Moorish members and the American citizens to help in a great uplifting act to this national and divine movement. I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim, under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Also, alhamdulillah, praise Allah for that. Hope all is doing well with the Moors. But it just brings me back to what our Grand Sheikh has been talking about with sincerity and making your intentions known before you do something. He said a lot of what he come in here and he tell us, we really got to take it and apply it. Because, the Grand Sheikh is the Grand Sheikh for a reason, right? They come with the info, with the plan. And he said the plan for us has been to be intentional. Intentional, we talked about that yesterday was, Friday, was sincerity, right? To have good intentions. But we also talked about that being resolution. Alhamdulillah. Because if you're sincere in what you're doing, that means you got some resolve in it. You really want to do what you're trying to do. That's what resolution say. Like, I ain't out here just doing this to say I'm doing this or to look good. I'm really being about the business of my Father's word. So alhamdulillah, that's sincerity, that's intention, that's resolution. The scientific theory, you get what I'm saying, is a testable hypothesis. A testable hypothesis. This is science, this is chemistry, this is the basics of it. It means that when I have an idea or theory, it has to be testable. You get what I'm saying? It has to be, in other words, it'll work if you work it. Got to be testable. So you have belief in this organization. Now you've been doing your due diligence. You've been making your meetings. You've been studying your Quran on your own. You've been talking to your creator. You've been, you've had faith. Oh, I know this is real. Now the only part you waiting on is resolution, which is certainty. And Allah said like this, he say, praise Allah until death comes to you, because that's when you're certain. That's when it's over with. So this is what we mean by inconstancy. You got to be willing to do this. Our Grand Sheikh talk about this all the time. For the rest of your life, you got to be willing to commit to something for the rest of your life. And I say, it's a whole bunch of things out here. All of us have probably committed to something for the rest of our life at one point or another, whether it be marriage, whether it be relationships, whether it be a job, whether it be how you thought you was going to live forever, whatever the case may be, you've had resolution on something, but it's changed. Oh, now you don't feel that way about that person or that job or that career or what you was doing with your time. So your resolution has changed, but you've had resolution at one time in your life or another. So having resolution, and what I'm talking about, is in multiple things. It's for you when you know that old saying, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I'm telling you about Tawheed, which is the oneness of God. So I'm saying put all your eggs in that basket. You got to come to a point where I'm putting all my eggs in this. You get what I'm saying? I'm putting all my eggs in this basket and I'm fully committed to it. And I'm going to live by it. That's what resolution is. That's what certainty is. And when you move like that, you move with a certain energy, a certain vigor. It take over your body because you know what you're doing. You're not guessing. So make that decision for oneself. You know what I'm saying? Keep testing. And then once you've tested it for so long and you see the benefits of it, commit yourself. You know what I'm saying? 5-star recruits. The Moorish Science Temple of America is an institution. What do college recruits do? They commit to, hey, I'm committed to playing the Duke. Hey, I'm committed to playing to Florida State. I wear the colors. I know the national anthem. I sing the song. I go to the games. I buy the book. Even when these people graduate, don't they return years later? Hey, listen, are they repping for all they at? FAMU, Auburn, Syracuse. This is how much people commit to their learning institutions. The Moorish Science Temple of America, we in Sunday school, which comes the guidance of the nation. How much you willing to commit to your learning institution? This is your learning institution. You can rep this for the rest of your life. The same way someone to rep their alma mater. The same way you rep your city. I'm from Oakland. Go Warriors. You get what the same way you rep your team. This is how you can rep this baby. So that's resolution. I'm going to go over some things we went over on chapter 41. So that's where I want to go back to today, which is inconstancy, the holy instruction from the prophet. And it was key 24. But what exalted form is this? that hitherwards directs its even, its uninterrupted course, whose foot is on earth, whose head is above the clouds. So we going back up, we had read the key 14 or key 15. He said his life is unequal, his motions are irregular, his soul changes with the weather. So weather is another, clouds is a representation of weather. You get what I'm saying? Clouds are always bringing the weather. You get whether it's rain or blocking the sun. And so a lot of things that the clouds do. So that shows you the inconstancy of the weather. And it's also talking about the inconstancy of man. So you got to be above that. So it said, what exalted form is this? Then we get into it, right? Keys 25 through 33. And this really had me thinking, because it gives us a key. And as I was reading my Holy Quran Mecca, I said, oh man, you know, I just seen the connection. On his brow sitteth majesty. Steadiness is in his port, and his heart reigneth tranquility. Now this key, you know, who are some of the ancient fathers through which Jesus comes? You know what I'm saying? Can anyone answer them? Floor is open. I'm doing a lot. Anybody?
Abraham, Boaz, Baruch, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary.
Oh, you missed somebody in there. Everybody know who he missed.
Jesse. Islam.
Thank you guys for the backup, for the camera back.
Praise Allah. So Abraham, some of his ancient fathers, right? Praise Allah. So that's the one I wanted to bring up, because we know we're other Abrahamic lines, but let's go into detail about the character of Abraham, because the reason I bring this up is talking about this person who's resolute and has resolution, who has certainty, and it says that in his heart reigneth tranquility. That's very specific, because in the Holy Quran of Mecca, Allah describes Abraham as such. And I just want to give you this key, but I'm going to read the rest of it, but I want to give you this. He said, oh, Abraham. And this is Surah 37. Those arranged in ranks. And indeed, one of those who followed his way was Abraham. And remember, when he came to his Lord with a pure heart, with a tranquil heart, alhamdulillah. So he specifically describes Abraham that way. So when we're talking about this person who has resolution, we're going to see that it's talking about somebody with a tranquil heart. Now we're going to go read about the qualities of this person and what they're able to accomplish. Though obstacles appear in his way. Now this is all about somebody with a tranquil heart.
Islam more. What ayat is that in Surah 37?
Surah 37, and that's ayat 83 and 84. Excuse me.
Islam, gratitude.
Alhamdulillah. So, and he's talking about that person who has a tranquil heart. Surely Abraham came back to his Lord with a sound heart. Another, it says sound heart, pure heart, tranquil heart. All of these are synonyms for the same thing. So once again, on his brow sitteth majesty, steadiness is in his port, and in his heart reigneth tranquility. So once again, we're talking about the same type of person here. Somebody with a tranquil heart. Then we're going to go read about what Abraham did and compare the tranquilness of his heart and what he was able to accomplish and what is described here in this chapter. Alhamdulillah. So we're going to study this, because the Quran is also known as the fruit Quran, or the criterion. It's the judgment for every other book. He said, I explain everything in detail in this book. So here we hear him talk about a tranquil heart, and we see some examples. But in the Quran, we have literal examples of someone he described, Allah described as a tranquil heart. You get what I'm saying? Not just what we man think a peaceful heart is. A peaceful heart is. You get what I'm saying? Because Noble Ali told us in his literature, this is the revealed word of God, and Abraham is one of the righteous forefathers through which Jesus came. So it's important for us to know about him and go research him and see how, you know, his story and something about him is in the Circle 7, the tranquil heart. This is referring to a specific person, and us. It's a degree we could achieve. But if you want to achieve a degree in something, don't you usually go watch people who did it? Look at sports. If you want to be a good basketball player, don't you go watch college players? If you want to be a good doctor, don't you go train with doctors? If you want to be a good mechanic, don't you go be with mechanics? So if you want to be a tranquil heart, shouldn't you go learn from somebody who God said had a tranquil heart? Wouldn't it add up? So praise Allah for giving us a divinely prepared pamphlet, and praise Allah for giving us a prophet who gave us this pamphlet and the one-on-ones. We gave us specific information which we can go study and get a deeper understanding about this tranquil heart, so we can have, you know, into better knowledge, because that's what part of being a Moorish scientist. We got to have hypothesis, and then we got to go test it. So I want to go test about what Abraham's about. I want to go see about it. I want to go learn more about it. My theory is that if you do what Abraham does, or Abraham did because Allah gave him his message. So this is my theory. This is what I'm going into the Quran, and I'm studying our Circle 7, what it says about a tranquil heart. Then I'm going to research that in the Holy Quran of Mecca, what God describes as a person with a tranquil heart, and research his stories to see if it's something that I can follow in my life. So my hypothesis is, if I follow these things, that you will become someone who is beloved by God, because Allah took Abraham as an intimate friend. He was the friend of Allah, because man needs a pattern for his life to follow. So if you pattern yourself after Abraham, who God took as an intimate friend, you yourself, God will take as an intimate friend. So here we go. That's my scientific research. That's the theory. That's the hypothesis. And that's why we're going into these books, seeing if we could see what he did and if we can copy it in our life. And then if you decide to see if this theory is right, if you do what Abraham did, if God will love you, we'll report back on it. Let's say in 3 months, we'll say, we'll come back. Well, no, we'll wait till Noble Draw Lee's birthday. Like, hey, has that been working? And we'll report the results of our theory. And this is what scientists do. And we are Moorish scientists. So this is a workable project. This is a chemistry project, but it's not chemistry in the physical land. This is chemistry in the mind of man. So through obstacles appearing his way, this is key 26. He denied not to look down upon them. Through heaven and earth oppose his passage. He proceeded. The mountains seek beneath his tread. The waters of the ocean dried up under the sole of his feet. We're talking about different things that these people who reach this tranquil heart are able to do. The tiger throweth herself away across his way in vain. The spots of the leopard glow against him unregarded. He marcheth through in battle legions. With his hand he put aside the terrors of death. Storms roar against his shoulders, but are not able to shake them. The thunder bursteth over his head in vain. The lightning serveth but to show the glories of his countenance. His name is resolution. He cometh from the utmost part of the earth. He seeing happiness afar off before him. His eye discovereth her temple beyond the limits of the pole. He walketh up to it, he entered boldly, he remaineth there forever. Establish thy heart, O man, in that which is right. And though the greatest of human hearts, the greatest of human is to be immutable. So now we're going to go do some research on the Holy Quran of Mecca about Abraham. So this is Surah 37, chapter 37, which is those deranged in ranks. Alhamdulillah, that's the name of that chapter. And this is ayat 83-84. And indeed, of those who followed his way was Abraham. God talking about following his way. He's saying Abraham followed his way. Remember when he came to his Lord, once again, with a pure heart. So that's what we're basing this off of, that Allah described Abraham himself as having a pure heart. So from there, we read the key and inconstancy about that. And we just want to hear that Allah also describes as these people who have pure hearts or tranquil hearts, they are pleased with Allah and Allah is pleased with them. See, you want to have the love of God in your heart, but you also want God to love you. So this tranquil soul is a soul that God loves. He's at peace, right? Because Islam means peace. So your self-submission to the will of God, God will love you for that. And Allah, and this is Surah 89. And this is ayat, the verses 27 and 28. And Allah will say to the righteous, O tranquil soul, return to your Lord, well pleased with him and well pleasing to him. So that's, Allah is happy with you. You're happy with God, what God is giving you. You happy with following God, and God is also happy with you. So this is what we're aiming for when we talk about following the path of Abraham. We want to be happy with what God has given us, and we also want God to be happy with us. So this is also, once again, we're talking about that tranquil soul. And so let's go back to key in constancy, because this is all about studying how we can become a tranquil soul, because that's what our holy instructions tell us to do. Another thing Brother Leon did the other day was look up the definition of inconstancy, right? He presented it. So we're looking up the definition of what a tranquil soul is. We're looking in the dictionary of the revealed word of God, Allah, because it defines things in here. So it's also a dictionary. It's a criteria. So we're looking up what God's dictionary, what his term is for a tranquil soul, and what he says about this. So hopefully we can aim for this goal. So in constancy, once again, he said, on his brow sitteth majesty, steadiness is in his port. So he has stability. So you conquer stability. Now you conquer inconstancy. And it says, in his heart reigneth tranquility. So once again, Allah said Abraham was a tranquil soul, but this is also how God is describing a tranquil soul. And this is Surah Fajr, or the morning. So coming, waking up. You get what I'm saying? Allah will say to the righteous, Surah 89, verse 27, O tranquil soul, return to your Lord, well pleased with him and well pleasing to him. Now let's go a little further. Allah in Surah 4, this is the woman, Nisa, woman, ayat 125. And who is better in faith than those who fully submit themselves to Allah, do good, and follow the way of Abraham, the upright? Allah chose Abraham as a close friend. Once again, we're talking about once being pleased with Allah. That's for you. You happy with God, but God being happy with you. And we're also talking about what? The intimate friendship between you and God, because he chose Abraham as a friend. So everything we're trying to do, this is the goal. This is our intentions, to become one who's happy with God, one who God is happy with, and ultimately, God willing and only through God's favor, become a friend of God. Alhamdulillah. So following this way, because this is the way of Abraham, the way of the tranquil soul. So now we're going to jump to the ways of Abraham and talking about some of the things he went through and some of the ways he did. This is Surah 21, the prophets. This is the name of that chapter. And this is Surah verses 51 through 73. And indeed, we granted Abraham sound judgment early on. We knew him well to be worthy of it. Remember when he questioned his father and his people. He said, "What are these statues that you are so devoted to?" They replied, "We found our forefathers worshiping them." He responded, "Indeed, you and your forefathers have been clearly astray." They asked, "Have you come with us with the truth, or is this a joke?" He replied, "In fact, your Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, who created them, and I do bear witness to that." Then he said to himself, "By Allah, I will surely plot against your idols after you've turned your backs away and gone away." So he smashed them to pieces, except the biggest of them, so they might turn to it for answers. They protested, "Who dared do this to our gods? It must be an evildoer." Someone said, "We heard a young man called Abraham speaking ill of them." They demanded, "Bring him before the eyes of the people so they may witness his trial." They asked, "Why did you do this to our gods, O Abraham?" He replied sarcastically, "No, this one, the biggest of them, he did it, so ask him if they could talk." So they came back to their senses. So once Abraham told them, "I ain't do it, the big one," he ain't smashed he smashed all the idols except for the big one. So after this, he telling them, "I didn't do this, the big one did it." And when he told them, the people, it says, they came back to their senses. So Abraham's argument was so easy and simple, the people remembered for a second. They said, "We ourselves are wrongdoers." So after Abraham showed them, they know that this idol can't move, and they know he can't smash nothing, but they praying to it. So they knowing that the things that they worshiping are falsehood. You get what I'm saying? So after they came to their senses, they quickly went back to what they was doing. The mindset of arguing, it says. You already know that these idols can't talk. They go back to Ibrahim and they say, "You know that these idols can't do that, man. These are something we build. You know they ain't got no power to smash nothing." He rebuked them. He said, "Do you then worship instead of Allah what can neither benefit you nor harm you?" Look how plain Abraham's argument is. So we're talking about following the way of Abraham. So when people were doing stuff, he made this argument clear and concise, easily understandable. A great example of someone making an argument easily understandable is what, for me, our national grand sheikh in our last call. He went over something. He went over holy instructions for the ignorant. And then he held up the circle 7 and said, "Don't we have instructions?" It's plain that we're ignorant of things. Whether you accept it or not just shows the vanity in your heart. But obviously we have some level of ignorance in us if we got instruction, and the Holy Prophet in the chapter told us, instructed to the ignorant, instructions for the ignorant. We got holy and divine instructions. So maybe we're ignorant to holy and divine things. Maybe. There may be some ignorance in there. Alhamdulillah. So and the reason I brought that up is his argument was so plain, it may snap you back to your senses. It's some things I don't know. Maybe I should learn more. Alhamdulillah. And that's the same thing with Ibrahim's argument right here. It snapped people back to their senses because the argument is so plain. It's so understandable that they realize that they're wrong. But then it tells you something after that. It says afterwards, they quickly regress to their arguing mind state. So once they get knowledge of the truth, if you don't accept it, all you're going to do is argue against it. Even though you know it's true, it snaps you to your senses, but you're going to revert back because you don't want to accept it. So he asked them, do they worship something that can either harm them or benefit them? Shame on you, or whatever you do instead of worship instead of Allah. Do you have any sense? They concluded, burn him up to avenge your gods if you must act. And Allah says, we said, "O fire, be cool and safe for Abraham." They sought to harm him, but we made them the worst of losers. Then we delivered him along with Lot, and we showered the land with blessings for all. So that's some of the story of Abraham. So that's what and if you notice, he's fighting for the oneness of God, God's worship. He believes in a one God. Those people he was fighting against were polytheists. They were idol worshippers. He was fighting against serving multiple gods. You get what I'm saying? That also has something to do with being a tranquil heart, that you only have one master. You can't serve two masters. We've heard that. So your heart only has to belong to one thing. Alhamdulillah. So let's go a little bit further, and I'm almost finished with this, about Ibrahim. You get what I'm saying? And this is the story to poets. And this is ayat, that's Surah 26. And this is ayat 69 to 89. So we just taking a story, learning more about our forefather Abraham and his way. Relate to them, O Prophet, the story of Abraham. When he questioned his father and his people, what is it that you worship besides Allah? They replied, we worship idols, to which we are fully devoted. Abraham asked, can they hear you when you call upon them, or can they benefit or harm you? They replied, no, but we found our forefathers doing the same. The same thing that our brother Jesus said when he, in chapter 12 of the Circle of 7, when he came upon these people, and he said, y'all just doing what your forefathers did, toiling the soil this way. So these stories relate. Abraham responded, have you really considered what you have been worshiping? And you and your ancestors, they are all enemies to me except for the Lord of the worlds. He is the one who created me. He is the one who alone guides me. He is the one who provides me food and drink. He alone heals me when I am sick. He is the one who calls me to die and then bring me to life. He is the one I hope who will forgive me on my flaws on the day of judgment. My Lord, grant me wisdom and join me with the righteous. Bless me with an honorable mention among the later generations. Make me one of those awarded the garden of bliss. Forgive my father, for he is certainly one who is misguided. And do not disgrace me on the day of judgment. The day when neither wealth nor children will be of any benefit. Only those who come before Allah with a pure heart will be saved. Once again, we're going back to that tranquil heart. We're almost at the end here. So we're seeing about this tranquil heart. How this heart doesn't serve two masters. He's resolute. He's sincere in his belief in God, in the oneness of God and God's abilities. He's talking about these different abilities. Sustenance, providing food. He's talking about the healing power. He's talking about the one who protects them. So protection, healing, food, all the things that humans look for. Food, shelter, which is protection, and also protection physically, army. He said all of that comes from Allah. So he doesn't ascribe any partners to Allah. This is why he has a sound heart. His heart only serves one master. He knows everything comes from Allah. So now Surah 6, this is the cattle. And this is ayat 75 and 83. I know it's long. Stick with me more as we get into the end. But we just going through and we got some research and we just looking at about our forefather Ibrahim. And remember, and this is Surah 76, ayat 74. I'm gonna go up one. And remember what Abraham said to his father: do you take idols as gods? It is clear to me that you are a people who are entirely misguided. We also showed Abraham the wonders of the heavens and the earth, so he would be sure in faith. So Allah showed him his signs, the wonders of the heavens and the earth, so he will be sure in faith. So he showed you these signs so you will be sure about God. Not so you would take pleasure in the signs. He's saying why he showed you the signs. We showed Abraham the wonders of the heavens and the earth, so he will be sure in faith. What? Faith in God, not faith in the signs. Once again, we're following the path of our forefather Abraham. When the night grew dark upon him, he said, "Oh, star." He said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, I do not love things that set." So he said, he saw a star. He said, "This is God." It's one of the greatest signs, the star. He said, "Wait a minute. This can't be God. God don't sleep or slumber." So when the stars set, he said, "This can't be God." Then when he saw the moon rise, he said, "This one is my Lord." But when he disappeared, he said, "If my Lord does not guide me, I will certainly be one of the misguided people." So he said, "Inshallah, may God guide me." I thought the moon, this is a greater sign. This moon is a bigger sign than the stars. But when it said, no, these not God either. So God is showing him his signs, but he's realizing that it's the creator behind the signs. So he's not getting lost and caught up in the worship of the stars. He's not getting caught up in worship of the moon. Then when he saw the sun shining, he said, "This must be my Lord. It's the greatest sign." But when again it said, he declared, "Oh my people, I totally reject whatever you associate with Allah and worship." So Allah showed him signs in degree that they got greater. Showed you the stars. Then he realized that's not God. Then he showed him the moon. Then he realized that's not God. Then he showed him his greatest sign, which is the sun. And he said, that's not God. So let's go to our Circle 7, chapter 35. Because this is in our teachings in our Circle 7. Right? That's the chapter on religion. And what does it say? There is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the worlds, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. The sun is not Allah, though his noblest image. He enlightens the world with his brightness. He warmeth and giveth life to the products of the earth. Admire him as the creature, the instrument of Allah, but worship him not. So we see our forefather Abraham, same demonstration. He said, then when he saw the sun shining, he said, this must be my Lord. It is the greatest. Again, when it set, he declared, oh my people, I totally reject whatever you associate with Allah in worship. So he saw the greatest of Allah's signs, or some of the great signs of Allah. You get what I'm saying? But he knew that these things weren't God. So Ibrahim said, I'm not worshiping those. The signs of the heavens and the earth, the astrology, I'm not worshiping that stuff. It is a sign from God, but I'm not worshiping it. Alhamdulillah. So he said, I turn my face towards the one who has originated the heavens and the earth, being upright, and I'm not of the polytheists. So you see a lot of what Abraham alayhi salam, peace and blessings be upon him, a lot of what he was fighting against in his time was shirk, or ascribing partners to God. That's what he's fighting against. That's why he has a sound heart, a solid heart, because he only worships one master, God. He has one hope, he has one fear. Alhamdulillah. And as people argue with him, he responded, are you going to argue with me about Allah while he has guided me? I'm not afraid of whatever idols you associate with him. None can harm me unless my Lord so wills. My Lord encompasses everything in his knowledge. We not be mindful. So he wasn't scared of the blame of the blamers. When they said, well, all this other stuff, wait a minute, I worship one God. And you know what I'm saying? Hold up, none of that stuff you had or worshiping has any power. Unless Allah wills, none of that stuff is going to happen. And how should I fear your associate gods when you have no fear in associating others with God? Look how simple. Why should I fear those partners you ascribe to God when you don't fear ascribing partners to God? This is your forefather Abraham, and these are his arguments. This is his what? A practice he has never authorized. Which side has more right to security? Tell me if you know. So he said, which one of us should be more? That's why he has a sound heart, and also known as a peaceful or a tranquil heart. Because he said, I'm in the, I'm working with God. Which one of us should be more at peace? That's security is another word. When you got security, you more peaceful. I got security, I got something protecting me. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's a physical building, a home, whether that's a dog, whether that's a weapon. But the best type of security is, Allah's friendship, Allah's love, and his mercy for you. And this is what your forefather Ibrahim said. He said, how should I fear your associate gods while you have no fear and associate others with God? A practice he has never authorized. From the beginning of time, our righteous forefathers have been telling us to worship the one God. Which side has more right to security? Tell me if you really know. You see his soul tranquil? He talking to these people. You remember, this is why Abraham is a youth. Alhamdulillah. All right. It is only those who are faithful and do not tarnish their faith with falsehood who are guaranteed security and rightly guided. This was the argument we gave Abraham against his people. We elevate and rank whoever we please. Surely your Lord is all wise and all knowing. So we just went through, we had a story about Ibrahim, and we talking about a tranquil heart, and we see his heart at peace here. And we see he's teaching his people about the oneness of God. And he don't fear no fear of the blamer. He don't care about them saying, hey, this is popular. Ibrahim, and how that's also in Circle 7. It says the generality of men are ignorant. Ibrahim knows that they ignorant to some things because they blinded their heart. That's what blinding your heart do. So you ignorant to the oneness of God. He told you about where he get his provision, where he get his protection, all of those, where he get his healing from. He related that all back to God. So this is the way of Abraham, who was some of the forefathers who this justice came through. Because Jesus means justice. So this is the part of justice came through. This is a part of justice is knowing the knowledge of Allah. Because you can see that he called Ibrahim also early in these chapters upright. That's another word for just. He was upright. Those who believe, whose hearts find comfort in the remembrance of Allah. Surely in the remembrance of Allah do the hearts find comfort. This is Surah 13, Ayat 28. And we see the hearts finding comfort also is referring to a peaceful heart, a tranquil heart, and that's based off knowledge. Surah 16, which is the B. Then we reveal to you, O Prophet, this is talking to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Follow the faith of Abraham, the upright, who was not one of the polytheists. Praise Allah. So I hope this information we went over with our hypothesis, that you were able to test this and you're able to learn something about your ancient forefather Abraham. And I want to wrap this up with tying it back together once again with our Circle 7. Jesus in chapter 11, Jesus and Barada. Together they read the sacred books. Divine Instruction 17. And backward through the ages, masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. And key 13. Man may believe what others say, but thus he never knows. If man would know, he he himself must be what he knows. So we've related you some knowledge of self, some knowledge of your ancient forefathers, and you are, without a doubt or contradiction, who your ancient forefathers were. This was the way of the tranquil heart, the path of Abraham. Peace and love.